Alright, so tomorrow the King of the Ring tournament resumes. We're into the quarterfinals. We're nearing the end, and I had to get this video out before it ends because I need to get this in before it actually happens. So, we're getting the quarterfinals. Samoa Joe versus Ricochet, Cedric versus Baron Corbin on Raw. The night after, it's going to be Elias versus Ali, and Chad Gable versus Andrade. Now, I know everybody's got their picks, everybody's got their predictions. I feel a lot of people thought Drew McIntyre was going to win this. He was a heavy favorite, and a ton of people were shocked when Ricochet ended up beating him. And now a lot of those people switched over their pick to Ricochet for the simple fact that he beats their favorite Drew McIntyre, which I'll get to Ricochet in just a few. And then also on the other side, still on Raw though, Baron Corbin. Now a lot of people are fearing that Baron Corbin could also win this. On the SmackDown side of things, I feel like Andrade is the heavy favorite. A ton of people have got Andrade as their pick, myself included. He was one of my picks. But after seeing a certain something, like my mind has opened up now and I'm like, yo, none of these guys are winning this tournament. But quickly going back to Ricochet, the people actually think Ricochet is going to win this. Come on, Ricochet's a face. The King of the Ring tournament is a heels tournament. It's always been a heels tournament. You look at the winners. I mean, just look at the past, like, what, 4 or 5 winners? It's all heels, because they adapt the whole King gimmick, which isn't really a face thing to do unless, I guess, you go the comedy route. But in this case, nobody here is a comedy type of superstar, really. So people thinking Ricochet is going to win this for the simple fact that he beat the heavy favorite Drew McIntyre, I think you're going to be disappointed because I highly doubt that Ricochet is going to win this. But anyways, let me get to the point here. I think a lot of you are distracted here. A lot of you are looking at these participants and just locking down your predictions to what you see, the people you see, which makes sense. I mean, these are the people in the tournament, but what happened in the last tournament? The best in the world tournament, the last SmackDown or Raw versus SmackDown type tournament. None of the guys actually in the tournament won the tournament. It was on what, was it Crown Jewel? I don't know, one of the Saudi Arabia pay-per-views, and people were, giving their predictions based on the guys that were in there. And at the end, of course, none of them won it. Instead, we got a replacement in Shane Mcmahon winning the tournament. And up until, I'd say, a little over a week ago, I was thinking Drew wins or Andrade wins. Obviously, Drew got eliminated, so Andrade was the other pick. But then I saw something that opened up my mind. I was like, oh, hold on a second. None of these guys are winning this. So I was browsing up Reddit, and I see this post right here. Shane is going to replace Elias in the finals and take the title. That's been my guess for a while. This isn't a spoiler, by the way. This is just somebody giving their thoughts. And as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, how could I not see that? That's most likely what they're going to do. Why else is Shane McMahon still on TV after the SummerSlam match against Kevin Owens? A lot of us thought that was going to be the end for Shane on TV, talking about how he's the best in the world, being, overly, cocky, this and that. But after SummerSlam, a bunch of us were like, what? He's still there? He's still feuding with Kevin Owens? We thought that would be the end of it. But nope, 2 nights later, he goes ahead and costs Kevin Owens his spot in the King of the Ring tournament. Right away, by the way. He didn't wait until the semifinals, quarterfinals, or finals, or whatever. He made sure that Kevin Owens, who he likely sees as his biggest threat, gets eliminated right away and is not in the tournament. And now Kevin Owens still has a problem with Elias and Kevin Owens, as seen recently on SmackDown. So, this sets it up perfectly. Kevin Owens still has beef with Elias. Elias is still in the tournament. Elias goes ahead and makes it to the finals. And then Kevin Owens goes ahead, takes out Elias. And then Shane McMahon, he's in charge. So he's like, yo, he just took out Elias. Get out of the building. Security escorts Kevin Owens out. And then he goes ahead, puts himself in that final match, probably against fan favorite Ricochet, and beats him to win the tournament. Because, once again, it's a heels tournament. Ricochet ain't winning this. If he wins, I'll be completely surprised. Totally surprised. Highly doubt that's going to happen. But as far as Shane McMahon goes, he's my number 1 pick right now. I feel like Shane is winning this. And I'm pretty sure recently they've kind of quieted down a bit on the whole, calling Shane McMahon the best in the world since, this King of the Ring tournament has started. And I think it's because they're going to switch from calling him the best in the world to, as suggested on Reddit, somebody said that he's going to start calling himself, since he won the best in the world tournament and then wins the King of the Ring tournament, calls himself the King of the World instead of King of the Ring, because, he was the best in the world, then he wins King of the Ring, combines the two into the King of the World. So that kind of refreshes Shane McMahon's, cocky personality now, where he thinks he's better than, these other superstars and he's the best. Or in this case, if he wins the King of the Ring, which I think he will now, thinks he is the King of the World, then maybe that leads into a match against Kevin Owens at Hell in a Cell. I don't know, but pretty much I don't think any of these other guys are winning the King of the Ring anymore. If you look at who's left in this tournament, and you ignore Shane McMahon, like the possibility of Shane McMahon getting in this, I think there's 3 people that could potentially win this. The 3 most likely people to win this would be Baron Corbin, Elias, and Andrade, if you ask me, in my opinion. I think a bunch of you might agree on this. Whoever wins this, they could use this as a way to get them a championship match. Like, hey, I just won the King of the Ring, and that would, lead into a championship opportunity because of this big win. Well, Baron Corbin already got 3 championship matches against the Rollins just recently, lost all 3 of them. So, highly doubt he'd win this and then get a championship match. So that kind of eliminates him for me. And then when it comes to Elias, problem with Elias is he's lost to all the other top stars. Nobody buys him as, a legit contender to the championship. I love Elias. I really like Elias. Speaking of Elias, by the way, his new theme song sucks. I hope he goes back to the old one. But whenever you see Elias on a pay-per-view against a top star, you know he's losing. When he was against Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank, you knew he was losing. Nobody was like, oh, Elias is definitely winning this. And everybody was like, okay, Roman Reigns wins this. And it's always the case with Elias. And another indicator that they don't consider Elias one of the top guys is where he's at right now. He's competing for the 24/7 championship. He just lost to Drake Maverick. So I don't see Elias winning this at all. Although, to be honest with you guys, if you were to ask me who I'd like to see win out of the guys left in the tournament, there's a good chance that I'd go with Elias, because I really like Elias. I'd actually like to see him get a push, but I'm being realistic. I always like to be realistic with the predictions. I don't mix what I'd like to see with what I think is actually going to happen, which in this case is Shane McMahon winning. And then when it comes to Andrade, now Andrade is great, but the problem is I don't think they think his English would be up to par as the King of the Ring. Because the King of the Ring winner usually does a lot of talking about how, they're the king, this and that, but Andrade's English isn't, the best. So Zelina would have to do most of the talking for him. So I don't know about that. I feel like because of that, he might not be their top pick for this King of the Ring. And if anybody's gonna ask about Samoa Joe, let's be realistic here. This is kind of the same situation as Elias. I like Samoa Joe. I know a lot of people like Samoa Joe. He's great on the mic. He's a cool character, but he loses, just like Elias, he loses to all the other top stars. He's kind of like the Bray Wyatt, not this Bray Wyatt, or, the previous version of Bray Wyatt, where he talks a lot of crap, but he ends up losing. And when it comes to this tournament and where he's at right now, next round he's taking on Ricochet tomorrow on Raw. Ricochet just beat Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre is clearly higher on the totem pole than Samoa Joe. Drew McIntyre's got a much better win-loss record. He actually talks crap and wins. Not all the time, but, more than Samoa Joe does. So if Ricochet beat, Drew McIntyre, pretty sure he's also going to beat Samoa Joe. And if Samoa Joe somehow, ends up beating Ricochet, then I think Cedric Alexander is going to advance over Baron Corbin and beat Samoa Joe. So I think that final spot is going to be taken by either Ricochet or Cedric Alexander. If it's not Ricochet, it's going to be Cedric Alexander. And whoever it is, in my opinion, going to go ahead and take on the replacement of whoever makes it to the finals on the SmackDown side, and Shane replaces that person and ends up winning the tournament in the end, becoming the King of the World, refreshing and boosting up Shane McMahon's ego once again, making him think he's better than everybody else, and maybe catapult Shane McMahon into a World Championship match, which honestly, I thought that would happen at SummerSlam or something like that Shane would get a championship match, but instead he took on KO and Kofi Kingston took on Randy. I thought if Shane was going to get a championship match, that would likely be against Kofi Kingston and he'd end it. Not that I want to see it, but I did think that would happen then, and I'm like, oh, they might have delayed it so that he can win the King of the Ring first and then go after Kofi's championship, or maybe Seth Rollins' championship. So, anyways, in the comment section, let me know if you agree, if you think Shane McMahon is going to win this as well, or if you think this is not going to happen and it's going to be between the superstars currently in the tournament. If so, let me know who. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, click the like button down below. And with that said, I'm out. See ya.